All right, what's up, people? We're running it back, German International. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you had a great weekend. Now we're back in the lab. Hopefully, you guys are ready to listen, ready to pick up something. I'm gonna learn something today, but I am joined by a young man who really has a great story and testimony of overcoming against all odds. And I'm not gonna steal his thunder, but this young man here I've known for quite some time now, some years. And before we get into it, I wanna thank all of you for tuning in. Thank you for liking our page and just appreciate your support. I always know that. I don't take it for granted, all those who are watching. Make sure you share this with your friends at this time because you don't want to, today is going to be epic. I believe that. So, Reese, you want to greet everybody? Glad to have you on, young man. So, so Reese, let's start off by, why don't you, share a little bit about, your background, where you grew up, surroundings, and so forth.
My name is Reeses Brown. Come from Harrisburg, PA. Basically, I got the basic story of a kid growing up in the inner city. Mm-hmm. Dealt with poverty, violence, drugs. Single parent home, being raised by a grandmom. That was in my early years. Mm-hmm. I always had a drive to do something better. Mm-hmm. Than my family members, and just try to break the cycle. Mm-hmm. I think growing up in the inner city, you get caught up in repeating the cycle. Like say your parents they was on drugs or alcohol, so if there's no change, you repeat the cycle. Mm-hmm. So my whole thing was just trying to figure out my niche in life, right, and really taking all that I learned of growing up in the inner city, in the projects and, the urban community of being on the hill, moving on the hill, mm-hmm. And just really making a better way for myself. I always had a passion for like helping kids. Okay. I come up in the era of going to the YMCA uptown under Coach Cam, mm-hmm. The Boys Club with Coach Sherm. The 3-Star League with you. Mm-hmm. You was young when you was mentoring us. Yeah. The Charlie Fortneys, the Boy Scouts of America, mm-hmm. Troop 40, Mr. Steve Coley, Mr. Baltimore, mm-hmm. Mr. Whitaker. Mm-hmm. Those dudes played an important part in my life too as I became a teenager. Mm-hmm. Also my stepmom, she pulled me out of, I met my stepmom, Miss Lynn Dillard, when I was around 11 or 12, I think. It was somewhere around there. But she pulled me out of those harsh environments, mm-hmm. and showed me something different. Okay. Like, look, you a special person. You can go to college. You can get a degree. You can give back to your community, mm-hmm. So I got the basic story, man. Like, I graduated from Harrisburg High 2001. Mm-hmm. I struggled with education, man. Like, I failed 4th grade, ADHD, I took medicines, you know what I mean? Like, I got a deep story when it comes to education, but I always had the work ethic. Mm-hmm. I always had that I'm going to go 110% instead of 100%. I think that helped me a lot in college. The way I grew up in my background, I think that helped me prosper and figure it out. Mm-hmm. I always told myself, I don't want to go home with nothing. Mm-hmm. You know right. what I mean? Like, I don't want to go home with nothing. Yeah. So.
Well, I don't want us to miss this point. The viewers, so he just kind of glazed over, but you mentioned college. This young man right here grew up in the inner city, okay? A lot of challenges, a lot of cycles, generational circumstances. Grew up in the hood, and then he mentioned college. Share with the viewers, Reese, like, take us through the experience of being in high school and then transitioning into college, being from the hood. Like, what was that transition like for you? And then he graduated, he's already graduated with a degree, and then I don't want to steal his thunder, but so Reese, tell us about that transition to college.
Well-
and where did you go?
Well, I always had a drive for school for some odd reason. Like, I come from Harrisburg School District. They say a lot of us don't graduate. A lot of us aren't successful if it's not sports or entertainment. A lot of it was just a motivational drive to educate myself. It was tough, man. Like the resources that we had. The classrooms is overpopulated. You in the classroom with 30 other students. Then it's hard for us to pay attention. There's fights going on and you distracted. So it was tough going to IUP. I went to Indiana University of PA. That's up in near Pittsburgh area. But it was tough, man. That first semester, man, like I had to use all my resources. I'm in the writing center every night. I'm learning English all over. I'm learning how to do term papers all over. I'm asking 1,000 questions. I'm in a classroom full of 80 students. I got to sit up front. I got to sit up front so that the teacher know that, wow, this kid is different. And then, it's a predominantly, it was only 1,000 blacks at IUP.
Okay.
So it was a predominantly Caucasian school. So, I had to fight the battle of dealing with, racism, me being the only African American in the classroom. That's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
I just had to prove myself. I had to prove to myself, look, I can do this.
Right.
It was tough though, man. It was tough because I didn't have the resources in high school. So I had to do the Act 101 program.
Okay.
That's when you leave in June. So it's kind of like summer school.
Okay. Yep.
Because I didn't score well on my SATs, you know what I mean? So
Right.
I had to go to summer school.
Yeah.
And I just used all the resources, man. I basically took how I grew up in the inner city of survival mode, taking care of yourself, making sure you all right. I just took that knowledge and took it to college.
Okay, there you go. So the thing is, there are certain things in the inner city as far as character traits or certain things that you learn in the hood that helped you. So everything wasn't negative growing up. So what I'm hearing, Reese, is there's the fight and the survival mode and the creativity from your growing up days helped you when you were in college. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense because you got to think the way I grew up, the way me and my friends grew up. We're 7, 8 years old. We're feeding ourselves. We washing our own clothes. We're washing our clothes in the tub. We're making sandwiches. We're surviving. We got young mothers. We being raised by grandmoms. You know what I mean? They don't really know how to raise a young man in the projects or the inner city. So a lot of it was survival mode at a young age. I'm a father, and my kids, I help them survive. They're not surviving on their own. I'm guiding them, but as far as me and my peers, we had to figure it out on our own.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
That's deep.
Yeah. So
Yes.
you got to think. You 7, 8, 9 years old. You gotta try to find your own school clothes. You wearing your cousin's sneakers to school. You
Wow.
wearing your friend's jeans. And yeah, it's real, man. It's real. It's real. So a lot of that, man, it just helped me. It just helped me in the process of when I became an adult.
Right.
Now, what I can say saved me a lot was sports.
Okay.
Basketball. That was a big part of my life growing up. Basketball and playing, street football. We stayed at the boys club. We stayed at the Y. We stayed in the 3-star program, midnight basketball. We teenagers, we there till 12 at night. So we really don't have time to get in trouble because we working on our hoop dreams.
Yep. Makes sense.
Now, the hoop dream kind of failed because we didn't have the resources. I played for Harrisburg. I played my 9th grade. I played 8th, 9th, and 10th. But I was in a situation where I was behind. I was a late bloomer. So, while I'm trying to play a varsity, you know, I kind of lacked that, you know, picking roles, didn't know what it was. A lot of my game was street ball.
Yeah.
So, you know, the hoop dream didn't really work. So that's why I started coaching AAU and, you know, coaching in the city to teach the game and give kids motivation. Like, look, man, you could chase your hoop dream.
Yeah.
You know, you can figure it out.
Yeah.
So.
And that's good. I want to say this, Reese is very active, involved, you know, in the community. You know, he has kids of his own. He's doing a tremendous job with his son. You know, Reese has a son, and he's doing a tremendous job with him. So now I can see the generational curses, what you were alluding to earlier, Reese. The cycle has been broken, and now he's starting a new cycle with your own kids. You know,
right.
And I want to commend you for that. Seriously,
Thank
you know,
sir.
definitely
appreciate that.
Definitely see you, you know, setting a new pattern and a new standard.
You know, it's tough being a parent, man, especially when it's not planned.
Yeah.
You know, like I had to really, because when I graduated IUP, my goal was to move to Florida and do radio production. I like entertainment. I like radios. I like entertainment. I like, you know, parties. I like to have fun. I like to meet people. So it was tough. I had a child in college my last semester. So I had to like adjust my whole life because I'm like, you know, I don't want my kid to grow up how I grew up.
Yeah.
You know, I really didn't get cool with my dad till I was like 12 to 11, 12.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, and I, you know, me and my dad, we tight now, but you know, I didn't want my kid going through wondering where dad at.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I had a talent of basketball. You know, I didn't really have nobody to guide my talent. You know what I'm saying? So I had to adjust my whole lifestyle so that I could be a father. And it was tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah.
But you know, you gotta get through it.
Yeah.
Cause you watering the plant,
Yeah.
basically. So
Yeah, like I said, I commend you, man. You know, you're a stand-up guy. And what I want to do, I want to take us out with this. What are your thoughts on, you know, the climate of today, what we're facing, things we're dealing with, you know, in the inner city, you know, inner cities of America, you know, the youth. A lot of the youth are, you know, hopeless. You know, even with this whole issue of racism, social injustice, social unrest, you know, people looking over their shoulder, youth. So take us out with this. What are your thoughts on, because I'm always solution driven.
right.
You know, we can talk about the problem all day, we see the problem, but what are some things you think we can implement as a society or as leaders in the communities? What's some things you think we can do to help this situation?
Well, you know, with the whole Black Lives Matter movement, I think that there need to be more officers hired that's from those environments. Because like a officer that come from an urban community, he understands the guys that's hustling and he understands the youth because he come from that. So his approach is going to be different. It's mainly like a respect thing. Now, I'm not saying it's always going to turn out like that, but you need more guys in the community that knows the community, but that's leaders.
That's a good point.
You know, I look at even guys like Officer Carter. He gets a lot of respect in the community.
Yeah, he does.
But he's been in the community for years, so he know how to approach certain guys.
Right.
You know, he know how to approach certain situations of what's going on as far as violence, drugs, you know, stuff like that. So I think a lot of it got to come from within. We need more mentors.
Yeah.
We need more fathers. A lot of his fathers, man, you got moms raising 5 and 6 kids by themselves.
Yeah.
Dad live around the corner.
Yeah.
You know, it's like at the end of the day, the moms is the nurturers, but once a kid hit a certain age, they need that father figure in their life. And I only know that now because my son and his friends are getting older. I'm dropping knowledge on them that mom really can't talk about and that she don't really know about.
And it's not a knock on her.
It's not a knock to the mothers.
Yeah, right.
But after a while, it's like you need that male figure. you know, like what saved me, it was like I had the male figures in my life. I had Troop 40, Mr. Coley, you. You know, if you see us getting out of line, you like, come here, man, let me talk to you. Like, this ain't the route to go.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of kids don't have that. You know, you get caught up in the streets. It's a vicious cycle getting caught up in the streets. And, you know, we dodged it. You know, we seen it, but we dodged it. We went the other way, you know, and a lot of that was the mentors in our life. I think that's what's lacking now, the community mentors. You know, you know, you need some stand-up guys that's going to take care of the whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
So,
man, that's a great point. Because as all of you know, this is Legacy Leadership Chat, and my definition of legacy leadership is, in a nutshell, in 2 words, true mentorship. And that's what's lacking, and that's what we need more of, is true mentorship in the inner cities of America, to the point where what Reese just mentioned, where there's some old heads, that's what they call some old heads, OGs in the street, to pull you aside and say, young boy, come here, let me show you how to do it. You don't want to go that route. And that's what's missing. And I talked about last week on my podcast about, you know, if they don't have the right mentors, there's also something called the wrong mentors.
they got a place for you.
Yeah. If you don't get connected with the right mentor, the wrong mentor is waiting for you. And that's the drug dealers. That's the, you know, whoever, you know. So, man, this is man. I really appreciate you coming on. I want to say this too before we go. This young man has 2 degrees, or you?
I'm working on my 3rd degree, elementary education.
Okay.
I was working for the Department of Defense, man. I was in a warehouse. I was like, it got to be more than this. Nothing against the Department of Defense, great organization, but I'm not. It was a military base, so I'm not military, so it was hard for me to move up. So I said, well, let me find my niche. Let me find what I have a passion for. My passion is for kids. So I was like, well, let me go back to school, get my degree in elementary education so I could become a teacher. That way, I got the paperwork where they can't say, oh, well, you got to do this. I got paperwork.
Yeah.
So, you know, I need a classroom, and I need to get in these kids' ear. So, you know, I went back, did it. It was tough, but, you know, you got to figure it out.
Yeah, and now you're working on?
I'm Gary student teach in the Harrisburg School District for 15 weeks. So after I student teach, I'll take the praxis test. Hopefully I pass it. If not, I'm going to take it again. And hopefully probably by like January, I have a classroom, or, you know, whatever we going to do during this pandemic. But I think that was my niche, man. I think that's what, and you know, I'm more mature now. I'm more laid back. You know, I ain't really running around like I used to.
Right.
You know, I think I'm a positive influence to the community. So I think it's a good lane for me. And we need more African American male teachers.
Exactly.
Because the kids I understand the kids. They'll understand me. So I think that's the goal. That's the move we're gonna make. Yeah. And we're gonna figure it out.
Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in. You know, this is my guy right here. We work together. I'm one of the trainers for his son. You know, we're in the gym, we're in the lab. Some of you might have seen some of my videos. His son is a tremendous basketball player, even at a young age. So thank you for tuning in. Reese, we'll run it back sometime. I'll have you back sometime, you know, in the future. And don't forget to like our page, like and follow our page. Share this with someone. Leave us some comments. Let us know your thoughts. And we'll see you on Thursday. Take care.
Perfect.